Alex Carter had never expected to be noticed by anyone important, let alone by an alien queen. For most of his life, he had been quiet, keeping to himself and focusing on small tasks that required patience rather than strength. His colleagues often joked that he was invisible, which somehow suited him just fine. He liked observing rather than being observed, learning more from watching than from talking. Little did he know that these traits would make him stand out in a galaxy far beyond. Anything he had ever imagined the day it happened began like any other. Humans and Valerians had agreed on a cultural exchange, a rare chance for both civilizations to learn from each other. Alex was chosen as part of the human delegation because of his knowledge of alien technology and his calm temperament. He did not expect that calmness would be the very thing that drew attention. When he first set foot in the Valerian capital, he was overwhelmed. Towering structures glimmered with light that seemed alive, and alien figures moved with an elegance he had never seen. The air felt different, charged with a subtle energy that made him feel small, yet alert. He had just entered the great hall of the palace, where the queen held audience, when he first saw her. Queen Lyra was nothing like the stories he had read in human history books about rulers and monarchs. She moved with quiet confidence, her gaze scanning the hall as though measuring each presence. When her eyes finally settled on Alex, he felt an unexpected chill, not from fear, but from the intensity of being truly seen. The entire room seemed to notice the way her attention lingered on him. Whispers began to ripple through the crowd, but Alex barely registered them. His mind was busy trying to understand the complex patterns of alien energy that danced across the walls. Patterns that humans would have called magic if they had seen them. He was not the strongest, nor the fastest, but there was something about his demeanor that made the queen pause. She had seen countless beings in her time, some powerful, some cunning, and most very ordinary. Alex was ordinary in the simplest sense, yet there was a calm certainty in his movements and his eyes. He did not try to impress anyone, did not bow excessively or speak in measured tones that demanded attention. He was simply present. Lyra felt a stir of curiosity she had not felt in decades. She decided then and there to choose him as her human liaison, a role that was more ceremonial than practical according to her court. But with potential far greater than anyone realized, the announcement shocked the room. Humans exchanged confused glances, wondering why such an unassuming man had been chosen. Valerians murmured among themselves, some questioning the queen's judgment. Alex felt his heart pound in his chest, and for a moment he considered asking to step back, to decline. But something in the queen's gaze told him that this was a moment he could not refuse. He straightened, nodded respectfully, and followed the designated guide through corridors that seemed to stretch into infinity. Every step he took echoed differently than on Earth, resonating in a way that made him aware of his own presence in the most vivid way. The palace was unlike anything he had imagined. Corridors opened into vast halls where alien art hung in floating frames, moving subtly, shifting colors with the slightest tilt of the head. He passed beings with multiple limbs, skin in shades of blue, green, and silver, and eyes that seemed to glow softly in the dim light. They stared at him, some with curiosity, some with suspicion. Alex kept his composure, remembering the training that had prepared him for diplomacy. But he also felt a thrill he could not ignore. He was walking into history, though he did not yet know the role he was about to play. Queen Lyra's chambers were set high above the main palace grounds, giving her a view of the city that stretched beyond the horizon. She entered with Alex, her presence commanding the space without a word. She gestured for him to sit, and for a long moment neither spoke. Then she began to ask questions, not about technology or politics, but about his life, his experiences, his hopes. Alex answered honestly, careful with his words, but open in a way that surprised even him. He spoke about his childhood, his fascination with machines, his love of quiet places. The queen listened, her expression unreadable, but every so often a hint of amusement or approval softened her features. Over the next few days, Alex was introduced to the daily routines of the alien court. He observed the rituals, learned to navigate the complex etiquette, and tried to understand the subtle power dynamics. It was difficult, yet fascinating. He discovered that Valerians communicated not just through words, but through shifts in body energy, subtle light patterns that flickered across their skin, and even the tones of thought transmitted in their minds. Most humans would have been overwhelmed, but Alex adapted quickly, noticing patterns that others missed. It was not raw power that impressed him, but understanding. He could sense tension before it escalated, foresee potential conflicts, and often diffuse situations simply by remaining calm and measured. The court began to take notice. Guards who had dismissed him as weak started watching more closely. Advisors who had scoffed at the choice of human liaison began to respect his observations. Still, no one could understand why the Queen favored him so openly. The answer, she realized, lay not in his physical capabilities, but in something far deeper. Alex carried within him a sense of balance, a restraint that was rare, even among the most disciplined warriors of her own people. He did not seek to dominate, only to learn and protect where needed. In the Queen's mind, this was a trait that could not be taught, a trait that might one day prove essential. During one particular evening, Alex walked the palace gardens, marveling at alien flora that shimmered with their own light. The Queen joined him, silent at first. Then she asked him why he had chosen to study the unknown, why he had spent his life learning rather than competing. Alex paused, thinking. He answered simply that he wanted to understand, and that he believed understanding could prevent mistakes that brute force could not. Lyra found herself smiling, a rare, genuine smile. There was wisdom in this human that belied his ordinary. Appearance news of his calm and perceptive nature spread throughout the court. Whispers became conversations, and conversations became discussions of the human who had been chosen. Some aliens mocked him in private, but most grew curious, wondering what made him different. Alex remained unaware of the growing fascination, focused instead on learning the language, customs, and technology of the Valerians. He studied tirelessly, often late into the night, until the patterns of alien society became as natural to him as breathing. One day, during a formal gathering of interstellar delegates, a minor incident occurred. An alien official became aggressive, challenging the Queen's decision and belittling Alex openly. Most would have expected conflict, but Alex did not react with fear or anger. He stepped forward, using calm logic and clear words to address the misunderstanding, turning potential hostility into respect. The hall fell silent, then erupted in quiet acknowledgement of his skill. Lyra watched, a mixture of pride and astonishment in her gaze. She had chosen correctly. The human she had selected was not only intelligent and patient, but also capable of holding his own without resorting to violence or intimidation. As days passed, Alex became more than a liaison. He became a quiet force in the court. He noticed things others overlooked: tensions between advisors, subtle changes in the city's energy flow, the faint movements of those who plotted in shadows. While he remained human in form and modest in presence, his mind and perception began to hint at something extraordinary. Queen Lyra sensed it, though she could not yet understand the extent. She felt a mixture of excitement and caution. Aware that her choice might shape not only her rule but the destiny of both species, Alex often returned to the gardens, sometimes accompanied by the Queen, sometimes alone. Pondering the weight of his position, he was aware of the eyes upon him, yet he did not seek their approval. He focused on learning and observing, feeling a growing sense of purpose that he had never known on Earth. The ordinary human, quiet and unassuming, was stepping into a world that required both courage and wisdom. Though he did not yet realize the depth of the challenges ahead, in the quiet of one evening, Queen Lyra approached him as he examined a delicate plant that glowed softly under the alien moonlight. She spoke of the Empire's history, the delicate balance that kept peace, and the threats that lurked beyond their known space. Alex listened intently, absorbing every detail. Then she asked him a simple question: whether he was ready to face what lay beyond, to stand beside her in ways that no other human could. Alex looked up, meeting her gaze with calm determination, and nodded. He did not fully understand what would come, but instinctively, he knew he had the strength to meet it. Not just with power, but with insight, patience, and courage. It was the beginning of something far greater than either of them could yet see. In the quiet determination of Alex Carter, the Queen saw a spark that could change everything. And in the vast, unfamiliar world of the Valerians, Alex felt, for the first time, that he had found a place where his true potential might finally be revealed. Alex Carter's days in the Valerian palace quickly became a blend of wonder and challenge. After being chosen by Queen Lyra Ven, he was assigned quarters within the royal compound, a place both beautiful and intimidating. The walls shimmered with a soft, living light, and floors glided silently beneath his feet. He found it difficult to sleep at first, as every sound seemed amplified, every movement in the palace echoing in ways he was not used to. Yet he could not ignore the sense of purpose that had settled in him. He was here for a reason. He wanted to understand that reason fully. The Queen had made it clear that his role was not just ceremonial. While he would participate in diplomatic events, she also wanted him to learn the ways of the Valerian court and the nuances of their power structures. Each day, Alex attended meetings, observed discussions, and quietly noted the subtle exchanges between nobles. He noticed that Valerians did not speak only with words. Their skin shifted colors, sometimes slightly, sometimes dramatically, as they communicated emotion or intention. Their movements, though graceful, held meaning. Alex spent hours observing, learning to read these signals, understanding the layers of communication that humans often missed. One afternoon, while walking through the palace's observation deck with the Queen, Alex felt a light breeze and caught sight of the city stretching endlessly below. Valerian buildings glowed with internal light, some suspended in midair, linked by elegant bridges. Citizens moved along walkways, some floating or gliding, each appearing to perform a role that was both routine and complex. The Queen spoke softly about the history of her people, about the empires that had risen and fallen, and about the delicate balance that allowed peace to persist. Alex listened carefully, realizing that he was standing at the intersection of immense knowledge and power, as Alex adapted to life in the palace. He began forming small friendships. Lisa Brown, a fellow human assigned to the delegation, shared his curiosity and quiet observation. She often marveled at his ability to notice details that others overlooked. Together, they explored parts of the palace open to humans, discussing their discoveries and sometimes laughing quietly at the oddities they encountered. Alex also developed a cautious friendship with Sale, one of the Queen's personal guards. Sale had always been suspicious of humans, viewing them as fragile and limited. Yet he could not deny Alex's unusual calmness and attention to detail. Over time, they shared stories, and Sale began to respect the human's perspective and insight. While these relationships grew, Alex also faced subtle challenges. Some nobles resented the Queen's choice, seeing him as a weak link or a political gesture. They tested him with indirect questions, delicate traps in conversation, and even quiet, covert challenges meant to intimidate. Alex handled each calmly. He did not try to dominate or outshine anyone. Instead, he observed, learned, and responded with honesty and clarity. This approach frustrated some of the Valerians, who were used to displays of strength or cleverness, but it also began to earn him quiet respect. During formal ceremonies, Alex's role often seemed symbolic, yet he paid attention to every gesture, every exchange. He noticed subtle shifts in alliances, hidden tensions between advisors, and the quiet ways in which power moved through the palace. One evening, the Queen pointed out a minor disagreement between two nobles, arguments so subtle that others might have missed it. Alex explained what he had observed, the underlying causes and possible consequences, in a calm and reasoned manner. The Queen nodded, a hint of pride in her gaze. And for the first time, Alex realized that his ability to understand and analyze might be as valuable as any physical skill in this alien world over time. Alex's routine included more than observation. The Queen began involving him in discussions about interstellar threats and diplomacy. Valerians had encountered hostile species before, and the Queen valued any insight humans might provide. Alex approached these conversations with humility and curiosity. He asked questions, compared the knowledge he had gained from human history and technology, and offered perspectives grounded in caution and reason rather than aggression. His insights, though subtle, often illuminated solutions that others overlooked. In one notable incident, a diplomatic delegation from a neighboring star system arrived unexpectedly. Tensions were high due to recent territorial disputes, and Valerian advisors debated how to respond. Alex quietly suggested an approach that balanced firmness with empathy, emphasizing communication rather than force. The Queen implemented his suggestions, and the negotiations, though tense, proceeded smoothly. This success did not go unnoticed. While some nobles remained skeptical, others began to see Alex as more than a mere symbolic human, outside of formal duties. Alex took time to explore the palace grounds. The gardens were unlike anything he had imagined, filled with plants that glowed softly, shifted colors, or responded to touch. He discovered areas where the natural and artificial blended seamlessly, creating an atmosphere that was both serene and alive. These moments offered him clarity, allowing him to process the complexity of his position and the unique culture surrounding him. He also began to practice with basic Valerian technology, learning how to manipulate energy fields and interface with devices that seemed almost magical. Each small skill he mastered added to his confidence. Though he remained aware of how much he still had to learn, one afternoon, Alex encountered a group of young Valerian apprentices struggling with a technical problem. Most humans would have avoided interference, but Alex calmly approached and offered guidance. He did not solve the problem for them outright. Instead, he guided them to see the solution themselves. The apprentices were initially surprised, but they soon appreciated his patient teaching style. Word spread through the court of the human who could quietly teach, guide, and lead without demanding attention or praise. As the days turned into weeks, Alex began to sense undercurrents within the palace that others ignored. He noticed the quiet tension between the Queen and some older advisors, the subtle signs of dissatisfaction among nobles, and the barely perceptible shifts in energy that hinted at hidden agendas. Alex documented everything mentally, preparing himself for any situation that might arise. He had always been observant, but now his awareness extended beyond mere curiosity. It was a tool, a protective measure, and a way to serve the Queen effectively. One evening, as he walked through the palace corridors, Alex heard raised voices behind a closed door. He paused and listened, realizing that two nobles were arguing over an upcoming decision that could affect the stability of the court. He did not intervene directly, but he later found a discreet way to convey his observations to the Queen. She received the information silently, her expression unreadable, yet Alex felt a small surge of satisfaction. He had contributed in a meaningful way, not through force or charisma, but through understanding. In moments of solitude, Alex reflected on the extraordinary path his life had taken. He had been chosen for reasons he only partially understood, yet he felt a growing sense of purpose. He realized that his value lay not in physical strength but in perception, patience, and adaptability. These qualities, so often overlooked in human society, had become his greatest assets in a world that measured power differently. As Alex settled into his role, the Queen continued to watch him closely. Lyra then recognized that she had made an unconventional choice, one that defied tradition and raised eyebrows across the empire. Yet she could not deny the quiet strength she observed in him. He was not a warrior in the conventional sense, but he possessed a resilience and intelligence that made him a unique asset. More importantly, he had the potential to act decisively in moments of crisis, a quality that would soon be tested in ways neither of them could predict. Over time, Alex began to see the palace, not just as a place of duty, but as a home. He developed a sense of belonging, a feeling that he could navigate this alien world and make a difference. He still missed Earth in small ways, the sound of rain, the smell of grass, the simple comfort of human familiarity, but he understood that he was part of something larger now. The Valerian court, with all its complexity, had become a stage for his growth, a place where he could quietly demonstrate his worth and prepare for the challenges ahead. Throughout all this, Alex maintained his humility and human perspective. He never sought to dominate or outshine the aliens around him. Instead, he focused on understanding, learning, and serving where he could. It was this approach that drew the Queen's admiration and the respect of those who had doubted him. He became a bridge between humans and Valerians, a symbol of potential and cooperation, showing that even a single human could make a meaningful impact when guided by patience, intelligence, and integrity. In quiet moments with the Queen, Alex began to understand the weight of her responsibilities and the fragility of peace in the galaxy. He listened to her stories, asked questions, and offered insights grounded in his human perspective. She valued his counsel, sometimes in ways that other advisors could not understand. Slowly, Alex realized that he was more than a guest or liaison. He was becoming a trusted partner, someone whose judgment and calm presence could influence events in subtle but important ways. As the second week of his stay ended, Alex reflected on the remarkable journey he had begun. From an ordinary human observer to a respected presence in an alien court. He had navigated challenges that would have daunted most. Yet he remained humble, patient, and focused on learning. He knew that the true test of his abilities had not yet come, that the universe held dangers and surprises beyond his imagination. But he also knew that his quiet strength, careful observation, and willingness to adapt had already begun to set him apart. The Queen had chosen wisely, and Alex was determined not to disappoint her or himself. As he continued this extraordinary journey, the calm of the Valerian court was shattered. One morning, with news of an approaching fleet, scouts had detected an unknown hostile faction moving toward the outer borders of the Empire. The Queen called an emergency council, gathering her advisors and guards to discuss the threat. Alex Carter, though still new to the court, was invited to participate, not out of tradition, but because the Queen valued his insight and perspective. He felt a chill run through him as he surveyed the worried faces around the table. These aliens were skilled and powerful, yet fear flickered in their eyes, a reminder that even the strongest were vulnerable. Alex listened carefully as strategies were debated. The Valerians proposed a series of defensive maneuvers, relying on advanced energy shields and trained warriors. Some advisors wanted to strike preemptively, hoping to catch the enemy off guard. Alex remained quiet, observing patterns in the discussion, noticing tensions between those who preferred caution and those who favored aggression. Finally, when asked for his opinion, he spoke simply and clearly. He suggested a plan that combined defense with strategic repositioning, emphasizing protection of the palace and civilians while minimizing unnecessary risk. His approach was measured, not daring or reckless, but it carried a sense of logic that impressed the Queen and others in the room. The following days were tense. Valerian engineers worked tirelessly to reinforce the palace's defenses, while guards trained and rehearsed defensive maneuvers. Alex assisted in analyzing enemy patterns, using data gathered from scouts and cross-referencing with similar encounters from human military history. He had no weapons, no combat experience in this alien context, yet his understanding of strategy and observation gave him a role that mattered. Lisa Brown assisted him in reviewing energy grid schematics, while Sale showed him defensive formations. Each day, Alex felt the weight of expectation, aware that failure could cost countless lives. Then the attack began. The enemy fleet appeared on the horizon, ships unlike any Alex had seen, sleek and menacing. Moving with coordination that spoke of experience and ruthlessness, alarms echoed through the palace, and the Valerian guards took their positions. The Queen's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the chaos, giving her people confidence even as the threat grew. Alex stayed near the command center, monitoring communications and observing battle progress. The enemy began with a coordinated strike on the palace perimeter, testing the Valerian shields. The defenses held, but it became clear that this was only the beginning. Smaller enemy craft began infiltrating the city, attempting to bypass energy barriers and create chaos. The palace guards struggled to contain them, and Alex realized that the situation could spiral out of control if not addressed swiftly. During a sudden breach, a group of enemy soldiers infiltrated the palace grounds. Alex, still unarmed in the human sense, found himself face to face with these intruders. Instinctively, he observed their movements their timing, their weaknesses. When one lunged at him, Alex reacted, using his surroundings and the energy fields around him in ways the Valerians had not taught him. He moved with a speed and precision that startled the attackers, disarming and neutralizing them without lethal force. His actions, calm and deliberate, quickly turned the tide in that section of the palace. Word spread rapidly through the palace that Alex was actively engaging intruders. Valerian guards, initially skeptical, now watched in awe as the human moved with uncanny efficiency. He disabled energy traps, redirected power flows, and used the alien environment to his advantage. No one had expected a human to operate at this level. The Queen, observing from her command chamber, felt a mixture of astonishment and relief. She had chosen this human for reasons beyond strength, but she was only now beginning to see the depth of his capability as the battle intensified. Alex focused on protecting the Queen. He positioned himself near her chambers, using both human intuition and the limited combat training he had absorbed. Enemy forces approached, more skilled and aggressive than he had anticipated, yet Alex remained composed. He anticipated their moves, adjusted his positioning, and used minimal force to neutralize threats. Each action was deliberate, conserving energy while maximizing effect. The palace itself seemed to respond to him, as though he had unlocked an understanding of its systems that no one else possessed. The Queen Lyra Ven watched closely. She had faced countless challenges in her reign, yet this display of calm and power from a human was unlike anything she had encountered. She realized that Alex was not relying on alien technology alone. He was using something innate, a combination of intelligence, perception, and rapid adaptability. Her advisors exchanged stunned glances, struggling to comprehend how one human could perform so effectively against trained alien attackers. Outside the immediate palace grounds, the larger battle continued. The Valerian fleet engaged the enemy, energy weapons lighting the sky. Alex's contributions on the ground allowed key sections of the palace to remain secure, preventing the attackers from reaching critical areas. His presence became a symbol of hope and resilience, not just for the Queen but for the entire court. Guards who had doubted him now followed his lead, coordinating their actions based on his observations and calm commands. As the hours passed, Alex encountered more complex threats. Enemy commanders, recognizing his effectiveness, targeted him specifically, hoping to remove the unexpected obstacle. Each encounter tested his mental and physical limits. He relied on quick thinking, analyzing patterns, and anticipating moves. His human reflexes, combined with careful observation of Valerian energy fields, allowed him to stay ahead of his attackers. He used the environment strategically, turning traps and defenses against the enemy. Each success built confidence, yet Alex remained focused on the task at hand, never letting pride interfere with necessity. Amid the chaos, Alex found moments to communicate with Lisa and Sale. Lisa relayed information about weakened sectors, while Sale provided insights on enemy tactics. Together, they created a small network that operated efficiently under extreme pressure. Their collaboration amplified their effectiveness, demonstrating that even in alien contexts, teamwork and understanding could overcome apparent limitations. As the battle reached its climax, the enemy launched a coordinated strike aimed directly at the Queen's chambers. Alex, anticipating this move, positioned himself in the most strategic location. When the attackers arrived, he executed maneuvers that were both precise and unpredictable. He disarmed and incapacitated the intruders swiftly, ensuring the Queen's safety while minimizing damage to the palace. The Queen, witnessing this firsthand, realized that she had underestimated not the human's courage but the extent of his skill and intuition. When the dust settled and the enemy began to retreat, the palace remained intact, the Queen unharmed, and the guards revitalized by the human's example. Alex, though exhausted, showed no sign of arrogance or pride. He had acted out of necessity, guided by observation, logic, and an understanding of the environment that exceeded the expectations of the Valerians. His actions had saved countless lives, secured the palace, and demonstrated the potential of human ingenuity in a galaxy that had long underestimated them. In the aftermath, Queen Lyra approached Alex in private. Her expression was a mixture of admiration, shock, and a subtle smile. She spoke of the bravery and precision she had witnessed, acknowledging that he had revealed a level of power and capability she had not anticipated. Alex, ever humble, replied simply, emphasizing that his actions were guided by duty and observation rather than a desire for recognition. Yet the Queen knew that what she had seen was extraordinary. She had chosen wisely, selecting not just a human, but someone capable of extraordinary impact. As the court began to rebuild and restore order, stories of the human's effectiveness spread throughout the palace and beyond. Valerians who had once doubted him now spoke of his calm, precise actions and his unique ability to understand and manipulate complex situations. He became more than a liaison. He became a quiet force, an example of restraint, intelligence, and courage under pressure. Alex, however, remained focused on learning, observing, and preparing for future challenges, knowing that this battle was only the beginning of what lay ahead. The Queen, Lyra Venn, reflected on the events with a mixture of relief and intrigue. She had faced threats before, yet none had revealed so clearly the depth of human potential. Alex had not relied on sheer force, but on perception, quick thinking, and the ability to adapt in real time. She realized that humans, often underestimated, could hold a unique advantage in situations that demanded intelligence, patience, and careful strategy. In choosing Alex, she had not just made a political or ceremonial decision. She had set in motion a partnership that could reshape the understanding of strength in the galaxy as the sun rose over the Valerian capital. Alex walked through the palace gardens, reflecting on the events of the past days. The human in him recognized the extraordinary nature of what had happened, yet he remained grounded, aware of the responsibilities now placed upon him. He had been tested in ways he had never imagined, and he had risen to the occasion. The quiet calm that had defined him before now carried a new weight of recognition that his abilities, both human and unique, had tangible consequences in a galaxy filled with danger, complexity, and the unexpected. With the palace secure and the immediate threat neutralized, Alex looked to the future with cautious determination. He knew that other challenges would come, that the galaxy held dangers and mysteries beyond his understanding. Yet he also knew that his calm, thoughtful approach, combined with human ingenuity, had already proven invaluable. He was no longer simply a human visitor in an alien court. He was a protector, a strategist, and a quietly powerful force in a world that had never before fully recognized the potential of humanity. The stage was set for what would come next, and Alex was ready to face it. Step by careful step, the city was quiet after the battle, but Alex Carter knew that calm was temporary. Queen Lyra Venn had declared a citywide alert, aware that hostile forces might regroup and strike again. Alex spent the early hours analyzing the aftermath, moving quietly among the guards. Checking defenses and observing the flow of the city, he noticed small weaknesses, subtle shifts in energy fields, and potential vulnerabilities that even the Valerian engineers had overlooked. His presence alone seemed to calm some of the guards, who had witnessed his actions during the previous attack. The Queen summoned Alex to her chambers. She looked weary, her usual composure tinged with concern. She spoke of the threat still looming on the borders and the unpredictability of their enemies. Alex listened carefully, offering suggestions grounded in observation and analysis. He did not propose reckless attacks or displays of power. Instead, he emphasized preparation, understanding the enemy, and using their knowledge to anticipate moves. The Queen nodded, clearly impressed, yet her eyes betrayed a curiosity about the limits of this human's abilities. She had seen glimpses before, but she sensed there was much more hidden beneath his calm exterior. Later that day, a sudden alarm sounded. Scouts had detected a rapid incursion force approaching the palace directly. This time it was smaller, faster, and more dangerous. Alex moved immediately, coordinating with the guards to secure vulnerable points and manage evacuations where needed. His actions were swift but measured, giving clear instructions that the guards could follow without panic. The enemy breached the perimeter, forcing Alex to confront them directly. He reacted instinctively, moving faster than anyone anticipated. disarming attackers with precision and using the palace environment to his advantage. Each motion was deliberate, calculated, yet executed with remarkable fluidity. The Queen, observing from above, realized that Alex's capabilities far exceeded the initial expectations. He was not relying solely on physical strength. He was using perception, timing, and an understanding of the palace's systems to neutralize threats. She saw him maneuver through energy traps, redirecting power flows to immobilize attackers, all while ensuring minimal damage. Her amazement grew with each successful action he took as the battle intensified. Alex encountered a group of enemy commanders attempting to breach the inner sanctum. He assessed the situation quickly, noticing their coordinated movements and predictable patterns. He anticipated their strategies, countering with minimal effort, turning their aggression against them. The efficiency and restraint he displayed astonished the Valerians who witnessed it. They had trained for decades to achieve such precision. Yet this human, unarmed in the traditional sense, surpassed their expectations. In one critical moment, Alex faced an elite attacker, wielding advanced weaponry. The enemy lunged, aiming for the Queen's chambers. Alex reacted in an instant, using a combination of agility, observation, subtle manipulation of energy fields to deflect the attack. He moved faster than the eye could follow, striking with precision and timing that neutralized the threat without lethal force. The elite attacker stumbled back, bewildered, while Alex stood calm and focused. Ready for the next move, the Queen descended to the battlefield, her presence commanding but cautious. She observed as Alex continued to engage the intruders, each action deliberate and precise. She realized that the human's true power was not in brute strength, but in an extraordinary combination of intelligence, perception, and adaptability. His ability to read movements, anticipate attacks, and respond with perfect timing made him a force unlike anything she had encountered. She felt both pride and shock, understanding that she had chosen a human capable of extraordinary impact. The enemy, realizing their strategy was failing, escalated their efforts. They sent reinforcements to overwhelm the palace defenses. Alex adjusted, calmly repositioning guards, managing energy fields, and intercepting attackers with remarkable efficiency. His movements seemed effortless, yet every action was purposeful, minimizing casualties while maximizing control over the situation. He had become the anchor of the palace defense, the focal point around which the remaining forces coordinated. In a quieter moment, Alex found Lisa and Sale coordinating reinforcements. He provided guidance, sharing observations that only a human perspective could offer. Lisa marveled at his calm under pressure, while Sale nodded in respect, acknowledging that Alex's human instincts complemented Valerian training in ways they had not considered. Together, they created a small but highly effective team, capable of responding to evolving threats with speed and precision. As the battle reached its peak, Alex faced multiple attackers simultaneously. He moved with an almost supernatural awareness, anticipating strikes before they happened and exploiting every opening. The palace energy system seemed to respond to him, whether by design or instinct, and he used them to create barriers, redirect attacks, and protect key areas. The Queen watched, unable to hide her astonishment. The human she had chosen was not just brave or clever. He was extraordinary, revealing a level of power that left her momentarily speechless amid the chaos. Alex protected the Queen directly. He positioned himself between her and incoming attackers, neutralizing threats with precision and restraint. Each motion was calculated to minimize risk while maximizing effect. The Queen, standing behind him, realized that she had underestimated human potential. Alex's actions were proof that humans, often perceived as fragile or limited, could wield influence and strength in ways the galaxy had not recognized. As the enemy began to falter, Alex seized the opportunity to redirect their forces. He guided the remaining guards, coordinating energy fields and defensive measures to channel the attackers into containment zones. His strategic foresight turned the tide, forcing the enemy into retreat. The palace was secure, the Queen unharmed, and the guards inspired by the humans' display of skill and composure. After the battle, the Queen approached Alex. Her eyes were filled with a mix of awe and respect. She spoke of his bravery and precision, acknowledging the extraordinary way he had defended the palace. Alex remained humble, emphasizing that his actions were guided by observation, analysis, and a desire to protect rather than dominate. Yet she knew that she had witnessed a level of power that few beings, alien or human, could match. Word of Alex's abilities spread throughout the palace and the city. Guards, advisors, and citizens alike spoke in hushed tones of the human who moved with remarkable speed and precision, who understood the palace systems intuitively, and who protected the queen without hesitation. Alex did not seek recognition. He focused on continuing to learn, observe, and prepare for future challenges. He understood that this display of power was only the beginning of what he might face in the galaxy. In private, Alex reflected on what had occurred. He understood that his abilities, honed through years of training, observation, and careful preparation, had finally found the opportunity to manifest. He felt a mixture of satisfaction and responsibility, aware that the power he possessed was not for display, but for protection. He resolved to remain vigilant, to continue learning, and to use his skills to safeguard those who depended on him. The queen, Lyra Ven, considered the implications of what she had witnessed. She realized that she had not just chosen a human, she had chosen a force capable of reshaping the understanding of strength and potential. Alex's actions demonstrated that humans, often underestimated, possess qualities that could rival or surpass those of even the most disciplined Valerians. She felt a mixture of pride, relief, and anticipation, knowing that this partnership could change the balance of power and the future of the Empire as the sun rose over the city. Alex moved through the palace gardens, reflecting on the events of the night. He knew that other threats would come, but he also understood that his abilities had proven invaluable. The calm, measured approach that had guided him through countless challenges now carried a new weta. Recognition that his presence alone could influence outcomes, protect lives, and inspire confidence. In the days that followed, Alex continued to train, observe, and strategize. He worked closely with Lisa and Sale, developing small teams capable of responding quickly to any threat. The palace guards, once skeptical, now respected his judgment and followed his lead with confidence. Alex's human perspective, combined with his unique abilities, became a vital component of the palace's security and the queen's strategy. Queen Lyra often spoke privately with Alex, discussing potential threats, political developments, and strategies for maintaining peace. She valued his insight, knowing that his human perspective brought clarity to situations that could otherwise be clouded by tradition, pride, or fear. Alex listened, offered observations, and learned from the queen's wisdom. Together, they formed a partnership built on trust, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to protecting their people. As Alex continued to demonstrate his capabilities, the palace began to see him as more than a human liaison. He became a symbol of resilience, intelligence, and quiet power. His actions inspired confidence, not through intimidation or aggression, but through precision, observation, and unwavering focus. The queen, watching him, realized that the true extent of his power had only begun to emerge, and that the future held challenges that would test him even further. With the palace secure and the immediate threat eliminated, Alex prepared for what lay ahead. He understood that his abilities, while extraordinary, were only valuable if applied with wisdom, restraint, and purpose. He remained humble, observant, and determined, knowing that his role in the palace was far from complete. The queen had chosen a human capable of extraordinary impact, and Alex was ready to embrace the responsibilities and challenges that awaited him. The stage was set for new trials, and he was ready to face them with calm courage and the quiet power that had already left the queen in awe. The city had finally returned to a sense of calm. Though the air remained charged with tension, Alex Carter walked through the palace corridors, observing the guards and advisors who now looked at him with a mixture of respect and curiosity. The events of the past days had changed everything. He was no longer just a human visitor. He had become a crucial presence in the Valerian court, someone whose insight and abilities were recognized by both allies and former skeptics. Like Queen Lyra Ven summoned Alex to her private chambers. She was seated on her usual platform, her gaze steady and contemplative. She spoke first about the enemy retreat, praising the efficiency and courage displayed by her people, but she reserved special acknowledgement for Alex. She told him that he had not only defended the palace, but had also revealed qualities in humans that the Valerian Empire had long underestimated. Alex listened, his expression calm, but inside he felt a deep sense of purpose and responsibility. He understood that this acknowledgement was more than personal praise. It was an invitation to shape the future. Over the next few days, Alex worked closely with the Queen to assess the broader implications of the attacks. Intelligence reports suggested that other factions had been observing the battle, that humans' capabilities might now be on the radar of many who had not taken them seriously before. Alex realized that this visibility brought both opportunity and danger. He advised careful diplomacy, emphasizing the need to show strength while avoiding unnecessary conflict. The Queen valued his counsel, recognizing that his calm and reasoned approach complemented her own strategic instincts. In one meeting, Alex presented a comprehensive analysis of how human skills and tactics could be integrated into the Valerian defense systems. He suggested training programs that combined Valerian technology with human adaptability and problem-solving. The advisors were initially skeptical, but the Queen supported the proposal. Alex found himself leading a small initiative to bridge the two species methods. He worked closely with Lisa Brown and Sale, developing exercises and simulations that tested coordination, strategic thinking, and adaptability. Through this process, he demonstrated that humans were not only capable of learning but could innovate in ways that even Valerians found surprising. As the partnership between humans and Valerians strengthened, Alex also focused on building personal connections. He spent time with the palace staff, understanding their perspectives and listening to their concerns. He discovered that many of the guards and advisors had personal histories of struggle and sacrifice, and he took time to appreciate their experiences. His empathy, combined with his strategic insight, allowed him to build trust and loyalty across the palace. Even those who had once doubted his abilities began to see him as a vital part of the court, someone whose presence made a tangible difference one evening. While walking in the palace gardens, Alex and the Queen spoke quietly about the future. Lyra Ven expressed her hopes for lasting peace and stability, but she also acknowledged the challenges that remained. She admitted that she had initially underestimated humans, seeing them as fragile and unprepared for the complexities of interstellar politics. Alex responded with honesty, explaining that humanity had been quietly developing skills and abilities that emphasized intelligence, adaptability, and restraint. He emphasized that power did not always need to be visible to be effective, and that the galaxy often misjudged those who did not display brute force. The Queen listened intently, her expression thoughtful. She realized that Alex's calm, measured approach had saved countless lives and demonstrated a level of capability that would change how her empire viewed humans. She also understood that this partnership could become a model for interspecies cooperation, showing that different strengths could complement each other and lead to mutual benefit. Alex's insight, she recognized, was not just about strategy, but about understanding people, motivations, and consequences. As weeks turned into months, the human-led initiatives began to show results. Training programs improved coordination between Valerian guards and human volunteers. Communication systems were optimized to account for both species' strengths. Strategic planning incorporated the human perspective, leading to more flexible and adaptive responses to potential threats. Alex became a symbol of what could be achieved when humans were taken seriously and given the opportunity to contribute. His presence inspired confidence, not through intimidation, but through demonstration of capability, calm, and sight. During one diplomatic mission to a neighboring system, Alex accompanied the Queen. The negotiations were tense, with both sides wary of hidden agendas and potential traps. Alex observed carefully, noting subtle shifts in expression, tone, and body energy. When conflicts arose, he suggested small interventions that de-escalated tension without appearing intrusive. The Queen applied his suggestions, and the negotiations proceeded more smoothly than expected. This success further solidified the perception that humans could be not just participants, but key players in complex interstellar affairs. Back at the palace, life gradually normalized, but Alex remained vigilant. He continued to study Valerian technology, culture, and social dynamics. He explored areas of the city that were less known to visitors, learning the rhythms and routines of daily life. This knowledge allowed him to anticipate challenges, protect key areas, and provide strategic guidance to the Queen. His presence became a stabilizing force, one that combined human intuition with careful observation and calculated action.